Well, thanks, Timo. My name is Mathis Rieke of 52 Degrees North, and I will briefly present carried out on AIXM binding to development tools. Maybe first of all, a little background on AIXM binding or data binding in general. The process of automatically generating bindings for a certain data model can be understood as a subtype of source code generation. Programming language specific source codes derived from a given data model, like AIXM is one. And in the coming minutes, I will call the deserialization of XML into programming language representations with the subsequent serialization of these representations back to XML a round trip. So here's an overview on the work and its outcomes. The background is that the development tools are difficult to use for creating AIXM, the XML schema, bindings due to complexity and verbosity of GML and AIXM, and in particular the GML metadata schemas. Automated code generation results for AIXM fails at the code generation itself. So this is one of the first showstoppers that have been observed while trying to create data bindings for AIXM 5.1. So the main goals of the work have been the investigation, testing, and documentation of the creation and use of XML schema bindings for AIXM in different development environments. So we have been investigated on basically two different development environments, which are kind of established in the service-oriented architecture world or the web service world in general. The one is Java, in particular Glassfish Metro and the JAXB reference implementation, and on the other hand, Microsoft.NET framework with its xsd.exe tool. So the general findings of this work are the following. The schemas as provided on the internet via the AIXM website were not processable in the provided form for both development environments. Some manual adjustments were required here in order to create the data bindings. One issue were the cyclic includes. So an example would be that schema file A includes schema file B and schema file B includes schema file A, vice versa. And the processors had issues with the cyclic includes. So one had to take care that these have been worked around in some way. And the resolution of relative schemas, like in subfolders or stuff like that, was also an issue that the processors were not able to resolve. Some particular findings on JAXB. The configuration for the JAXB environment was relatively complex, but once this has been achieved, it was very stable and reliable behavior, and everything went very well with the round trips executed. The issues with the .NET framework were a bit more complex. For example, XML type lists like XS double lists were not supported by XSD, and they had to be transformed to common string lists, and thus somehow breaks the semantics, for example, for coordinate lists. And another important issue was that the elements of abstract time geometric primitive failed to deserialize. For example, time period or a time instance could not be deserialized, and this somehow breaks the core functionality of AIXM, in particular time slices. Additional work has been carried out on data bindings, for example, a performance assessment of both environments. How fast was the execution of a round trip in the specific environment? And also an assessment of the semantics with respect to the programming language. Does every concept of XML schema fit to the concept of the programming language as it should be? And on top of that, a prototypical integration of the resulting bindings, the relevant JAXB bindings, into the event service used within OWS 10 has also been applied. So here are some results. as the idea and aim of this work has been, besides the investigation and evaluation of automatic data binding generation, the provision of working examples. So results are source code for both Java and C#, for, on the one hand, the generation of data bindings, on the other hand, the execution of round trips, so also incorporating, for example, a web-based approach using the web processing service, and also to provide some convenient methods when dealing with AIXM feature documents, like some concepts or language-specific concept on how to deserialize data. So all of this is managed within an open source software project hosted on GitHub, and you can find the links within the engineering report. Besides the source code, results in the engineering report include the identification of compiler compatibility and required changes to schemas, the basic performance of the round trips, and of course the identification of issues with the contents of the round trips. If elements are missing or any content is not as expected in the AIXM documents.